Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the podcast. I've got Justin Cook on today. Man, he called me on my way home from Texas. We'd been back and forth with each other, following each other on Facebook. You got to check out his Facebook page. He's just like I am in a lot of ways, always posting motivation, always very in tune to what's going on in life, and he's a real person. And I am proud to have him on the day to speak about the things that are important in his life and what he can do to help you. So towards the end of this video, please stay tuned, because at the end of this video, you're going to see the ways he could add value to you. And I've been in this game a long time in real estate, and he taught me things on real estate that reiterated and was very powerful to what I could put in play for myself. So I'm anxious for you guys to hear it. I'll hand it over to Justin. Welcome, Justin.
Hey, Eddie. Thanks for reaching out to me, first of all. It's always an honor to be able to speak on a podcast or be invited. Appreciate that. And obviously we do have a lot in common, when it comes to the way we think. And so, just to give you a brief history about myself, I'm originally from Cape Girardeau, Missouri, born and raised. I was an athlete, a college athlete, played baseball through college. Right out of college, I went to work with State Farm as worked for an agent for a few years in another position with the goal to be a State Farm agent. And so I've been, fast forward a little bit, been an agent for 15 years. Currently I have 2 kiddos, which are a deep why of what I do, and I'll get into that. But Lola's 10 and Hudson's 8. And, just being their mentor, their dad, is one thing that drives me. We've been blessed to be one of the top insurance agencies in the company for our company, but not just our company, but also through $1 Million Roundtable industry standards. So very passionate about what I do and how I help clients and prospects help protect their family.
Well, I can tell that just for one reason, and you're obviously a bootstrap, boots on the ground kind of guy, because you're doing this interview today and carving a place out of your day, and you're in your mobile office, and that tells me you're out here working hard, reaching people. You're not just cold calling from your office. You're physically out there in the field.
Absolutely. I'm out in the field every day. I have 2 appointments this morning at 10 and a lunch appointment. I also have a team of 10. I have 2 locations and working on a third. So I don't shy away from hard work. That's what's gotten me to where I'm at today. That's what's going to get me to the 3 to 4 to 5 offices where I'm going tomorrow. And so, my why of what I do, why I do it is I want to make an impact. I'm 41 years old. I've been in the business 20 years. Won a bunch of accolades, a lot of awards, all that's good stuff. But those are related due to protecting families, due to managing risk for families every single day. That's what we do. We don't make insurance more complicated than what it is. All we do is manage risks. So, and that's how I teach my team. And I try to keep that, Eddie, we had a call, and I try to keep that as simple and understandable from a person that don't know much about insurance to any client. And so,
and you did. I mean, all the way through.
Well, I appreciate that. I've been working at it a few years, and hopefully my team can do the same. But that's why I do what I do is, I have a deep passion of helping people, number one, right? And obviously I have 2 kiddos that mean the world to me. I want to be a mentor, a great dad for them. Hopefully they pick up some of those same, work ethic. Because just like anybody that's watching this, I started with no knowledge, right? Yeah. And I believe that the ability to learn over a lifetime and never to quit that, and to continue to stack that learning and working on your habits and mindset daily is a foundation that I don't care what business you're in is going to benefit you. Eddie, you're in a different business than me. Same deal. deal.
Well, I'm sure you get this question too. You know, when I'm speaking somewhere or going and passing at these investment conferences and stuff like this, I always get the question, where did you get your education? Did you go to college for this? Just a little bit of context. I'm a real estate investor, fund manager, and, we own large multifamily around the United States. And people are like, how did you learn that? Well, educating, reading books, following financial people, reading financial books to the T. I mean, finding every seed in it, Good to Great, all these different books, and just a constant practitioner and constantly learning. And you can't get the style of education from a college. Even State Farm probably has some training programs or training modules, but you've really parlayed your skill set into really what you do and what makes you great at your job, because you've added your passion into that. They can train you 6 ways a Sunday, but unless the actual recipient of that, you're not going to pick it up like what you're doing today.
Yeah, I think, dead on, number one. Completely agree. And I think, I have a college education. But that's not the reason we've continued to grow, right? To continue to grow is to continue to learn and continue to have high expectations and standards in what we do. And it does start with learning. So to your point, Eddie, I'm in a couple study groups across the country with the best of the best in my industry. I'm also in a couple circles that have nothing to do with insurance or that industry. And I feel like by being in those circles have even been more powerful for me than the insurance circle. Because the insurance circle sometimes can be limit the mind, right? The mind can't wander. There's these structures. This is what the industry does. But then I get with a lot of real estate folks, because that's where I live a lot, is, several people that I'm blessed to be in those circles. But it was intentional. Let's not say it was accidental, because it was very intentional. It was not luck. It was me putting myself in those circles and trying, and it may take years for some of those. But Eddie, you become who you surround yourself with, okay?
Oh, God,
That's a law of attraction. That's not something you and I came up with. That's a law. So your mind will go where you focus, right, and who you're hanging with. So I've been blessed to, a lot of these folks that I'm hanging around, it's nothing to do with insurance. It's all up here. And it's, what are we doing from a mindset standpoint? Some of these guys I've been blessed to hang around. It's like, Justin, why are you thinking so small? Like, why are you thinking 2 agencies, 3 agencies? Your company needs to get on board and give you 10. Then you get something to higher leadership. So I've been blessed to be in those circles, but don't get it wrong, Eddie, it's been very intentional.
Right. Same way, man. And here's another thing, is having those big, audacious goals is huge, because it attracts good people. I just recently went to an investment conference called Raise Fest in Louisville, Kentucky. And, at the beginning of the room, I emptied my glass, and there's a ton of people networking in the hallway. And as I'm walking through, I get there, I completely empty myself out, no education. And I'm just listening all the way through. I'm smarter by the time I get to the other end of that room. And then when people approach me and start talking to me, when they started asking my goals and everything, they said, man, you are so educated on the subject. You should be coaching. You should be doing this. You should be doing that. And then they'd say, what's your goal for this year? I said, well, you know what? The company goal was to close $250 million in assets under management over the next 12 months. I said, as a capital raiser, we're going to raise $250 million, and we're going to probably try to leverage $500 million in real estate. And they said, why 500? What's the number? And I said, well, there was another person out there that did 1.4 million in the last 3 years. Well, I think it can be done in 1.5 million in 2 years. So we're going to set ourselves up. We're going to operate in the systems, get everything built, do 500 million this year and 1 billion next year. And hey, if we miss our target, we still did something great. But the biggest part is I've been able to help a lot of people during that journey. And that's what's important to me, is that if there's more people on my team, it gives me more people that I can help, and it also gives me more time to educate people and bring them up next to me and do that. And connecting with someone like yourself with what we're going to talk about here in a few minutes is just a way to even leverage that even more. And life insurance is important. You know, I heard Jesse Itzler speak at this event. He asked the crowd, how many people have a graveyard picked out? How many people have picked out your plot? There was 2 people that raised their hand. There was 1 person that slowly raised their hand. He goes, so none of you people think you could die tomorrow? Nobody in here thinks they could die tomorrow? You're wrong. You can't. He said, what you should do is you should think about this. And it made me think of you, because he said, you all need to give your significant others your passwords to all your social media, your bank accounts. You need to think about all these things that happen once you're gone. And even picking out your plot is important. And I got to thinking about that, and I thought, that goes back to what Justin does, because, I've thought about it. With all the companies I run, and we touched on this when I was on the road, we got into what I do and how much we're doing in investor returns and stuff like that. And I think very few people think about what your significant other would be left with as far as a burden when you're gone. You could be in a car wreck today. You could find out you have heart failure and flop over. I mean, you could walk into Starbucks and get shot. It's possible. It happens. There's no doubt about it. And yes, it's a hard subject to talk about, but at the same time, it's something we need to think about.
Yeah.
Because just like for me, for instance, when we were going over that, Eddie, we probably need to design a life insurance policy that not only protects your wife, it protects your companies and your people that is involved in your companies at the same time. So please, by all means, tell us about these things that could truly help us, and give me your take on why people should have life insurance.
Yeah, I'm very passionate about it, and you're dead on, Eddie. I mean, we're all going to die. If I had if bottom line is, if I worked with clients and I had a date stamped on their head, my job would be easy, right? So, the reason I'm so passionate about life insurance, and I don't have all the time in the world, but at the same time, here's a 23 years old getting into this business, not being as passionate about life insurance like I am today. I was 23 years old. I did work. I knew nothing about the business. I was 3 months in. I worked with a guy that was 47 years old. Asked him about his life insurance. He was a self-employed contractor. His wife stayed at home, had 3 children under the age of 10. Okay? So I asked him about life insurance. He agreed he needed life insurance. We went through the amount of coverage, $750,000 at a minimum. I said, hey, let's follow up. And you talk to your wife, and I'll leave names out of it for their respect. But you talk to your wife, and let's get this set up. 3 months in the business, had no passion around it, didn't understand the why. Bottom line is, the individual I asked, I followed up twice, because I believe follow up's king in any business.
Oh, absolutely.
But I followed up twice. And about 3 weeks later from that conversation, being 3 months in the business, I walk into the office, and I look at the agent I worked for at the time, and he says, hey, you were working with so-and-so, weren't you? And I said, yeah. I was excited. I had a high energy in my voice. Yep, I can't wait to protect them. I talked to him about 750, and I just seen a blank like that.
Oh.
He turns to his computer, and the individual that was 47 years old and healthy was on the obituaries on his screen. Okay? Now, I still get a little emotional telling that story, Eddie, because
I can imagine.
Here's the deal, is that if I would have been the person I am today, fast forward 20 years, that individual would not have left my office without writing me a check for $100. Because here's the deal, if I would have took $100 check from him and he would have wrote it. That's the bad part. I didn't even ask for it. If I would have wrote a check, that would have changed his kids and his wife's life forever. The new house that I took pictures of 2 weeks before had to be sold. They moved into an apartment with 3 children, and the wife, I worked at that agency learning the business for 2.5 years. And I watched the return payments because she didn't have enough money, right? I made a commitment to myself, number one, that, hey, if I'm going to be in this business, I have a moral and professional obligation to be able to educate and protect the ones I work with, and I will not apologize for asking ever again. And the reason I can say that, Eddie, with passion and confidence is because I've been doing that for 20 years. So you ask about the why, and it kind of relates to your conference, but the bottom line is we're all going to pass. And my question to you, Eddie, and my question to the viewers is, what if you don't make it home tonight?
Right.
Tonight, not tomorrow night, not 2 weeks, not 2 years, but you could. It's snowing right here in northern Illinois. It was slicker than snot coming up here this morning.
There's a good chance somebody will die today.
Flip this Jeep that I'm sitting in.
Yep.
But you know what? I smile with just a little bit of smile on my face, Eddie, because my kiddos, my Lowland Hudson, are more than protected. They gonna have, yes, I hear that all the time. I don't want to, set them up. Well, I disagree. Okay, I don't want my kids to. I want them to learn hard work. I teach those. I teach that. I give them things to do. But I don't want them to suffer financially because of me passing away unexpectedly. So that's the why. Obviously, we get into different types of life insurance, but that's the why you need life insurance in general.
Absolutely. I'm gonna insert 2 things here. Number one, you live close to Chicago or somewhere in the area. And I was over by the Chicago O'Hare one time going to some training in Hoffman Estates. And I don't remember the name of the highway, but it's close to O'Hare Airport. And they had a banner, a board up, and it showed how many traffic-related deaths there was. And it was a rolling count. And I think it was like June. And it was over 2,000 people on that roadway that had died at that year. That was a rolling count. And when I went back 2 months later, it was a higher number. That's just one city. That's just one highway. It can happen. And another thing that I had to flip my mindset, a lot of people think of insurance and raising equity and all these different things is you're asking for someone for money. You are not. You're not asking someone for money. It's not like that. What it should be is learning how to say, look, yes, I need a $100 check today, but here's the reasons why you need to hand me a $100 check. I'm not a salesman. I'm someone trying to protect you. And that's what it takes getting across is I'm not asking for money. It's not like I take this $100 bill and stick it in my wallet. This is $100 towards your protection.
Exactly.
And that is so powerful because, all these new guys selling insurance, they need to find your passion because it's not a sale. It's not a transaction. We are here to help you benefit you and your family beyond your passing.
I'll build on that. I didn't have that passion, the entire way, but I've had it most of my career, and it's gotten stronger. It hadn't gotten less, right? And it's not because of money, because I made more money, right, as I went. And if I was comfortable with money, I wouldn't have got up at 3:30 this morning and worked on my craft, right? So that's you're exactly right. And this may come off wrong, but I want people to think about it. Is the people that I insure that I meet with, you're exactly right. I say right up front, I'm not going to sell. I don't even like the word. I am going to educate you. My job is to educate you. Your job is to choose. Like, do we have
Right.
that understanding? If we got that straight, we're good. Okay? If you,
Yep.
whether you do something or not with me, here's the deal. It's going to affect me about zero. Okay? But I'm going to give you the education. I'm going to give you the passion. I'm going to give you the stories. I'm going to give you the real life events that I see every day, and you can choose what you want to do. And
Right.
I don't say this to clients, but I think of this every once in a while. Is, you know, the value that I believe, because I believe in myself, I believe that the value that I can provide for a family can change their life and generations.
Yeah.
So, you know, I tell my team all the time, never to apologize. Our job is to educate, but also, you know, who's more valuable in that conversation? Because my family's protected. I'm not worried if I don't make it home tonight, if my folks are taken care of. So, what is more valuable? My content that I can change your life and generations, your choice, or the check that you give me that I make 20% commission on? Which one's more valuable? In my opinion, professional opinion, is I believe the education that I'm giving you is probably more valuable than your check. And I don't say that to be cocky. It's just, it's true. Because if Jeff, or if the individual that I worked with would have wrote me a check for $100, it changed his life and his family's life forever, right? Forever.
Absolutely.
It didn't change. It wouldn't change my team as a 30-month team member. I would have made like $20. I mean, it wouldn't have changed my life. But that's a weird way to look at it. But the older I get, more age, I got a lot more gray here. The more I think about the death, the more I think about life.
Let's talk about that for a second. You might know, probably if you've seen some pictures, I got a new look here. Well, the reason for that is this is the most brown I got left. I went from salt and pepper to who spilled the salt over here, man. And it's like, oh, man. So I haven't come to terms with it yet to say, all right, well, you know, I just got to live with it because it's just brown and then it's just salt. So you're rocking it out. You got it going on. But, you know, let's go through a high level or whatever level you think would be best to speak to our crowd. Because like I told you, when I called you up and I said, man, I got the idea for the podcast. There's so many people that need to know this, and they really do. And, you know, however you want to start from a high level and work down, or from a low level and work up, but, you know, even for real estate professionals and all the way down to the everyday W-2 worker, you know, go through that for me.
So I have a process that I do, and I'm going to try to keep it simple, Eddie. I believe in simplicity is powerful. Okay. So first of all, any client I work with, I want to know, I'm going to spend 5-10 minutes getting to know their picture, right? You tell me about your family. You tell me about your kids, the ages, what they're in, what's going on. Tell me about your business. Tell me about your life. Where do you live? Where do you work? What do you do?
Yep.
I want to know that because that's the first piece of any conversation I have with somebody, because if I don't know their situation, how do I help them get and protect them, right? So I want to fact find. I want to know about them, right? And a lot of people I help, I never meet in person, right? And you're one of we wouldn't have never talked, right? So that's the first step. First step, just get to know somebody, you know, develop rapport and relationship. So we all in relationships. So that's important. So that's first step. Yep. Second step is the second step that I focus on is the need of how much life insurance. Okay. Now, what I mean by that is, you know, Eddie, if you don't make it home tonight, what do you want to happen? And that's general, right? But then I walk the client down the road of, hey, is there debts that you want paid for? What about your income? What's your annual income look like? Do you and your wife both work? Just one of you work? What does that look like? Because if somebody's making $100,000 a year, that's a lot different than $1 million a year. What's coming in to that house?
Well, let me ask you a question, just because I'm curious. For me, you know, I'd want probably $1 million or $2 million, instant, because she knows that what I want to do after I'm gone. She knows what to do with that part. She's going to be in a terrible mindset of, taking care of the kids, but I think I would honestly want our house payment and any other things and car payments paid off 100%. That way she don't have to worry about going to make the car payment, in 2 weeks when she don't want to even leave the house, or getting online and remembering what the password was to pay the house payment. So is that also, that's probably something you need to know along that process,
Sure.
correct?
What debts do you want paid for? And we talk about those exact things that you're talking about,
Yeah.
right? Is there education that you want paid for your children? People think of life insurance and they think final expenses, right? Well, that's a small little piece. It's important. It's an important piece,
Yep.
but it's a small piece of the amount. So,
Right.
Eddie, what we focus on is the amount of life insurance. So I don't talk about types. We'll go there next, right? But
Yeah.
I want to get the right amount. I don't care about the type as much as I educate on the amount. If somebody has $100 to spend and they take out a permanent life insurance policy for, $50,000, or they take that same $100 and they buy $1 million of term life insurance and their needs $1 million, I'm a term life insurance supporter at that point, right? I don't play factors back and forth, right? Of like what type.
Right.
What type is what's right for the client and their situation, not me. I have nothing to do. My job is to educate. So that's the next step,
Right.
Eddie, is to need. So next step, after we find out, okay, Eddie, let's say you need $1 million. Let's just use that number. It's
Yep.
easy.
Sure.
So then I say, hey, okay, do you need $1 million? We agree on that. Eddie, you agree? Yep, you agree. Okay. The next step in the process is to educate on the basics of types of policies. Okay. And on the left hand here, we talk about term life insurance. Okay. Well, term life insurance is designed for a term, 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, right? It's locked in. The premium is locked in for those amount of times. Okay.
Right.
It also is big because it guarantees your insurability, your health. If you're healthy enough and you lock in a term over here on the left side, in the future, if you wanted to move that, convert that over here on the right side, which would be permanent, you don't have to prove your health again. It's a simple signature from boom to here, right? Big deal with a lot of people I work with, right? Because as they get older, maybe they need term early on. They get older, they want permanent, and they can afford more. Then we switch it over. But back to the beginning, back to the need. So we're focused on $1 million. The other thing, obviously, term life insurance is the least expensive life insurance. But why is it why is it the lowest expense? Is because it's less than 1% of all term life insurance policies pay a death benefit. Less than 1%.
Okay.
Now, that 1% is vital because those are the people that didn't make it home tonight that I was referring to earlier. So that's important, right? Very important. So, but it's a lot lower expense, right? Okay. So if you get, does that make sense, Eddie?
Oh, it does.
Okay.
Yes.
So, and we had the same conversation, right? I've done a few times.
Yeah.
So if you understand term, great. Okay. Well, let's move to permanent. And I'm going to slow down a little bit for your viewers and everybody, because permanent's more complex than term. It just is.
Right.
So on my job is the next 5 minutes to explain it to you. That's very simple. Okay. So the people that I work with that buy permanent life insurance, from an airplane view, they have to understand a few things. Okay. They have to understand that permanent life insurance is an asset to your portfolio. It's part of your portfolio. It's forever. The term is not forever. It's gone after a certain time. This is an asset forever. It's also usually more conservative in nature. Okay? Conservative being safer. Then it's also non-correlated and diversified. than most of your other investments, or almost all of them, in my opinion. Right? Your real estate, your stocks, your bonds, your crypto, whatever you're in, right? It's different, and it's conservative, and it's not related. Okay, so Eddie, does that make sense to you?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so here's so if you get that, Eddie, we're going to go to the next step. So I talk to people about the living benefits, and this is what's going on crazy on TikTok and all these different things of living benefits of permanent life insurance. And here's the deal. I'm going to go through them one by one. Point one, it's related to the book Money, Wealth, and Life Insurance. Money, Wealth, and Life Insurance. Okay? Let's talk about leveraging. We're going to take that $1 million policy, Eddie. And so here's the example. We're going to use the example. You have a $1 million policy and $100,000 cash in value in an account, right? And I'm going to give you an example, simple example. Eddie, you go to the bank today and you're going to buy a single family rental dwelling. Okay, it's going to cost you $100,000. Banker's going to say, Eddie, you're going to say to the banker, hey, I'm going to buy this property. Banker's going to say, I need 20% down. And Eddie, you say, okay, well, wait a minute now. I have a life insurance policy that has $100,000 cash with $1 million death benefit. Does that matter? Banker goes, yeah, that matters. Tell me about that. Let me pause for a second. Number one, banks love permanent life insurance. They hold permanent life insurance in their holdings at the bank. There's a reason. Okay, if you default on the loan, they have access to the cash value if they're assigned as collateral on that contract. Okay, if you pass away, same thing. They get paid out. So I got the banker's attention, right? So banker says, well, yeah, I mean, if you let me be assigned on that life insurance, Eddie, I'll do 10% now. Okay, Eddie said, oh, well, that's good. Now that assignment does not affect the life insurance contract 1 ounce, besides being listed as collateral. Okay?
Does that mean that if I'm already thinking I'm going to have to pay 20% down because that's just how it goes. So that means I could probably do this twice. I could take my 10% down that I was already thinking about and then do another $100,000 property and put 10% down on that one. I still only put down 20%, but I got 2 properties instead of 1.
Bingo. So bingo. Right. So that's leveraging. Now here's the deal, Eddie. That's a very simple example. But I have clients with $25 million in permanent life insurance and over $3 million, $5 million of cash value. So you go scale that on your multifamily business. All of a sudden, you're using your life insurance as a tool to do more in real estate, right? It's not a. I have a lot of investors that talk to me about, well, I can get better returns in this. This is a tool to leverage. So that's leveraging. Okay, that's point one. That's Money, Wealth, Life Insurance. If you haven't read that, I highly recommend it. You reach out to me, I'll get you a copy for free. Number two point. People talk about infinite banking. They talk about creating supercharged savings, right? If you Google that, it'll come right up. So what I mean by that, let's take that same $1 million policy, Eddie. $1 million, same one, $100,000 cash. And Eddie, you call me up and you say, hey, Justin, you talked to me about that life insurance. I did it. I got some cash value there, right? Absolutely. He said, well, I'm going to buy this commercial property and I'm going to need $50,000 of that cash, to go buy it, put down payment. I say, outstanding. I said, yeah, you have access. Here's what's going to happen. I'm going to cut you a tax-free check to you for $50,000. I said, but here's what we're going to do, Eddie. Eddie, we're going to structure this as a loan from your policy. And you go, I don't know about loans. I'm not good on loans, I don't need any loans. I got enough loans. Whoa. I explained this early on, but we're going to revisit. So, and I'm going to use simple numbers. Obviously, we're just using, examples. So let's say I've charged you $50,000 or 6% on $50,000. Okay. Now you have $100,000 cash value in that life insurance. Let's pay a conservative 3%. Okay, let's call it 3%.
Okay.
Now, here's the deal about cash value life insurance. Nobody really digs in unless you are understanding this. Is that 100,000? When I give that 50,000 check, the 100,000 that was in there is still being accredited the interest rate. Okay, so your 100,000 is still making 3. You're paying 6% on 50. Okay, so that's a net 3. But is it really a net 3 when you possibly could write it off as a business expense, the interest of that life insurance? Possibly. I'm not a CPA, but it'd be worth the question. The other thing is, you're earning 3% on 100,000, you're paying 6% on 50. That's not a net 3, right? Because you're covering some of that loan interest on the cash value of earnings. So it's less than 2%. Now, Eddie, can you go get a commercial loan for 2% right now?
No.
Now,
not for new purchase.
No.
I might assume a debt that's close, but no.
So probably not, right? If you can, great.
Right.
But for this example, most likely you're not going to be able to. Now, here's the bigger piece, is the flexibility. And here's what I mean. If you go to a bank, Eddie, and you say, hey, I need a $50,000 loan, right? They're going to give you a note, right? You're going to have a payback. There's going to be a balloon. There's going to be a monthly payment or an annual payment. And if you don't make that payment, that affects your credit, or they may take the collateral from you, the property, right? That's how it works. What do you think the payback period on your own cash value life insurance is when you take a loan? Do you know that, Eddie?
No, I'm not. I don't think I do.
You're determining that. There is no schedule of payment. You determine when you want to pay that. You can pay it all at once. You can pay it back monthly. You can pay the interest only. Now, I recommend that you pay it back if we're going to use this policy as a tool.
Oh, yeah.
I recommend that. But, you know what? I work with a lot of investors and landscapers, and, they make a lot of money certain times of the year, and they kind of, it's kind of hard to come by sometimes a year for them. And, maybe they're in the mix of all these deals in real estate. And, I'm going to have it, but it's going to be 6 months. So that allows the flexibility to pay back when they want. Become your own bank, infinite banking. That's the whole idea, okay? Make sense?
Oh, yeah.
So, number 3 is that the IRS is involved at a very limited amount, okay? And what I mean by that is if the Money, Wealth, and Life Insurance, I think it's mid-1980s, the IRS said, hey, there is a maximum amount that you can put in these life insurance contracts. And it's called a modified endowment contract, which is mecking a policy. You never want to mech a policy. Okay? Now, the reason they put that in the mid-1980s is because people that had wealth, that did have money, they would singly dump a ton of money into single premium life insurance policies. And they'd take advantage of the tax benefits of tax-free and free withdrawals. So that's the only part. But they still allow a good amount of money. When I say good, what I mean by that is the amount of money the government allows is determined by your age and a death benefit of the policy. Now that's individualized, right? We won't go there. But the other things are, there are ways to grow money tax-free in a life insurance policy and make distributions in the future tax-free, which is another book, Power of Zero. David McKnight talks about a LIRP. What he means by there, a LIRP is a life insurance retirement plan. How do you grow? How do you use? I do it myself, Eddie. I have a policy that I fund at a high level, and I'm going to use it as a retirement supplement tax-free. So, I can get more in depth, but the bottom line is it has flexibility. It has flexibility, and the IRS is not involved. It's not like a 401k or a tax qualified account where you can't touch it until you're 59 and a half, right?
Right.
The other thing is, do you get a 1099 on it? If you have a savings, a checking, a CD, you're paying taxes on interest every single year. There's no 1099.
Oh,
So
man.
that third point has a lot of different little legs to it when I work with
Yep.
people. So those three points: leveraging, becoming your own bank, limiting what we give back. Most of us give a lot back to the government. And you being in control of your money, and you can get to your money, because a lot of folks I work with are in their 40s. They don't want to wait till 59 and a half. They want to put that money to work for them, right? That's what they want to do. So I educate there. And then the last piece, Eddie, and this is all I got, is say, hey, also my part is, if I live to 80, I know what that policy is going to be worth. I'm going to leave a legacy for my family. It's part of my portfolio. It's part of my assets. It's going to be a legacy for me. Okay. So I use the policy. If I died in my journey, the family's taken care of. But along the journey, I can use it while I'm living and leverage it. All those things. And if I don't die, it's going to be tax-free death benefit to my family. Make sense, Eddie?
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. And this information, when you first explained it to me, I knew it needed to go out to everybody that could listen, and even more. And we're going to do a good job of getting this media out there, because there's so many people that need to learn what you just said. And it's, you can die tomorrow, and people need to understand that. And then along the way, you can use a policy like this to leverage yourself to even a better living by using it to buy real estate and using it for the infinite banking piece. It's just powerful. It's something that's necessary, but it's also a tool. And that part's amazing.
Yeah, it's basically just education that they don't teach. I mean, I didn't learn this in school. I don't know if you've ever, you didn't learn it until we really dove in deep, right? So, and guess what? I work with people every single day. I'm meeting with a guy that's a top of the top in this market. And I can guarantee he's not going to understand it. Nobody I understand can explain this to me. So especially all three avenues. Now, they may get one, I heard that you can do this, or I can heard it. But do you get the 3 or 4, that are different, non-correlated from other solutions, right? Do you get that?
Right.
So, we go through and we talk about budget and what they want to be after that, Eddie. And then we come up with a customized plan for them. That's how it works.
Man, that's amazing. How can people? I know you probably had 3 or 4 missed calls, if not more, since we've been on this podcast. But how can people get in touch with you and reach out to get straight to you if they choose to?
Yeah, I think
what's the best way to reach you?
I'm type A. I'm very active. Eddie's figured that out. I give you my cell phone number one. If you want to contact me, that's easy. 309-738-6010. 309-738-6010. Okay, that's probably the easiest. But introduce yourself, because I don't have your number, right? Tell me, hey, I was Eddie. Give me a little backstory. Number 2, if you don't have me on social media, on the personal side, I have, I guess, too many friends. It's locked up. But if you send me a message, I'll still get it. So just send me a DM on there. I will get it. I will respond. And that's how I operate. And Eddie's figured that out. If I can't,
hey, that's how we
connected. So, I am. The more people I can help, the more people I can educate, and myself and my team, right? My team of 10, I couldn't do what I do without them, right? They're very, just like all of us. Team.
Exactly.
But, we'll schedule a call. We'll go through exactly what we just went through. See what's right for you. If it makes sense, great. If it don't make sense, okay. But that's what we do, Eddie.
I love it, man. I thank you so much for the time. And audience, if you like this kind of media, please, by all means, like, subscribe, and comment below. Don't forget to smash that like button and subscribe so it helps the channel. because what we need to do here, what I'm asking my audience to do right now, I'm asking you to subscribe, and I'm asking you to share this with your friends and family so you can get in touch with this man right here and things like that. You know, we do a lot of high-level things. We help mostly accredited investors, but this man right here can get you to an accredited point, and I truly believe that. Just as simple as giving you safety and security, knowing your spouse is protected, your kids are protected, your debts are paid, and you can use it for real estate. I mean, you can use this for real estate. So while you're still alive, you can use this policy as a vehicle. So by all means, I'm asking you, take the time to subscribe to the channel and share this video with as many people as you can, because this stuff needs to be heard. It's not taught in schools. It's not taught anywhere. It's taught right here and when that man talks. And I'm sure there's other people that do it, but this man's the best in the business I've ever seen do it. Follow him on Facebook and give him a call on his cell phone, or find him somewhere, because he can help.
Yeah, Eddie, hey, Justin, appreciate your time, and I appreciate the invite. And, you know, it's always good to catch up, and hopefully we can change some lives. Hopefully we can, you know, if we don't, hey, we're giving the information out there, the content, you know, and that's what we're doing, what we can on that, okay?
Yeah, absolutely. Man, thank you so much.
Thank you.